Hey guys, Mark Allen, BHSpringSolutions LLC, BHSpringSolutions.com. We're continuing the High Power University information. This is about the history of the high power design and the evolution. We're referring to an article on Wikipedia, and this segment is being actually made on April 8th, 2020. And we're in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic that is starting to get into what we're told is the worst of all possible combinations of times and virus and the evolution of all that we're going through right now. And for those of you watching this video while this is happening in real time, thank you from myself, my partner, everybody at BHSpringSolutions, all of our partner companies and suppliers. We thank you for making us, allowing us to be a part of your life, spending a little time with us, and in this learning exercise. And we sincerely appreciate your continued patronage so very much. You have no idea the number of people that when you order a BHSpringSolutions spring kit and a set of grips and SFS or fast safety system or any of these things, you have no idea the number of people who eat because BHSpringSolutions helped you get involved in something to better your firearm. So on behalf of all of those individuals and those people and those companies, and there are many, we thank you for your continued patronage, especially at this point in history in this coronavirus pandemic. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and continue on. On that Wikipedia article about the Browning High Power, we had gotten down to a section called Specifications of the Mark I. These as we look at the high power design, we're not only looking at the FN and or Browning high powers, but we're looking at all of the clones, the advancements, the modifications for the high power. We're going to take in the whole bit of information. So the one thing that you can assume from these dimensions and things that you're seeing there under specifications of the Mark I. These are going to be generalities and approximations that, for the most part, these are going to hold true, within, some acceptable margins. And here's what I mean by that. Here is an FN Browning, a Mark II. We would typically call it Mark II model based on the year of its manufacturer. This is a one-piece, we call these tactical ergonomic shooting grips that we have at BHSpringSolutions.com. They are a drop-in fit on an FN Browning Mark II forged frame. They are also a drop-in fit on this practical model that's later than this one. They're also a drop-in fit on this 2003 cast frame FN Browning. However, they are not a drop-in fit on an FM, and that was a licensed Argentinian-made high power. This is the detective model or the compact version of that one, but these same grips are not a drop-in fit for this FM frame. Dimensionally, it is different, and so in other words, all high powers were definitely not created equal. That's not a judgment, for better or worse or anything like that. Here's a full-size Arcus 94. Now, obviously, you look at this and you go, well, yeah, there's some dimensional differences between these two high powers. However, internally, and I'm speaking specifically from a blueprint perspective internally, these two handguns are absolutely identical. So, peel back the skin, get inside the slide, the frame, everything, the internal parts, everything is identical. And everything that is compatible, and this one will be compatible with this one. However, these grips that I talked about on this FN Browning are not compatible with this Arcus 94. The exterior is what is different. So part of understanding the high power design and all of the clones and things that we're going to be talking about in the next section in this Wikipedia article is about the variance. Is the section is called. We're going to be digging deeper than the article digs, but one of the handy pieces of information, and I'm going to give you an example. If you're a gunsmith or a hobbyist or a high power enthusiast, that you enjoy doing modifications on these high powers and bettering them, and it is tremendously enjoyable to do that. That's really what makes our business go TikTok, and understanding of the differences and where these handguns differ. They're all high powers, except for the 1911 laying here for just reference purposes. But they're all high powers, but they have nuances and they have differences. So, we talk a lot about high power hammer bite. This would be one of the models that, if you don't have the SFS or system or fast safety, hammer bite's very common with this particular model. Obviously, the Bulgarians and Arcus had a solution of their own. Obviously, hammer bite is unheard of. Or your hand is sadly very deformed if you can get your web of your hand up over that beaver tail. So we're going to be talking a little more in depth about all of those things. And what it does is it helps you understand why some of these pistols function the way they do, what causes them to function the way they do. Now, not to confuse things, but here's another example, a reason why you want to go in depth. If this is really kind of something you're enthused about, the high power pistol design, you're going to enjoy understanding a little better why. Remember, this part gets a little bit almost counterintuitive. Internally, peel back the skin of both of these pistols, and these are identical, like blueprint identical. However, I can function perfectly with a 17-pound recoil spring in this one, and that same 17-pound recoil spring will sometimes induce short cycling in this Arcus. So this Arcus needs a 15-pound recoil spring with your standard pressure, range ammunition. We're going to dig deeper and even find out why is that difference. Finding that out, it just helps you understand these different variants that we're going to be starting to talk about here now. So we're going to continue with the article. Variance. Genuine Browning high-power P35s are still manufactured by FN Erstal of Belgium and Portugal and under license by someplace FM of Argentina. So this has got some age on it because there is no continued Argentinian production at all. There also is no continued production in Belgium or Portugal since since sometime in 2017, apparently. As of now, 2020, we are told that Browning will not be ever importing any more high-power parts than what they currently have in country in the United States. We understand FN is continuing to service customers around the world who may still have high powers and need parts, militaries and law enforcement, applications and things. But that's where all of that stands today. So this article does have some age on it, and in 2020, that's neither of the Argentines or the Belgium-Portugal combination is manufacturing high powers today. The high power remains one of the most influential pistols in the history of small arms. It has inspired a number of clone manufacturers, including Charles Daly of the Philippines and the U.S., FEG of Hungary, Arcus of Bulgaria, IMI of Israel, and others. Many modern pistols borrow features from the high power, such as the staggered column high capacity magazine. And that gives the high power an interesting place in history. The high power has some things that make it very unique in that it's very much like a lot of other John Browning firsts. Even though John Browning didn't personally finish the high power pistol, it has some things like a lot of John Browning firsts, and one of those would be the world's first semi-automatic shotgun, being the FN or Browning Auto 5. Still today, one of the most absolutely stone cold reliable and pleasure to hunt with shotguns ever made, and effective. And so the high power has a lot of that same kind of mystique, because it was a point of some firsts. And this staggered magazine for higher capacity was a first of its kind in a handgun, where you didn't just have all of the ammunition just lined up in a single column. And that was Dieudonné Save who perfected the staggered magazine, or the double column magazine at FN, as he was finishing the high power design. So that makes the high power somewhat of a legend in that it has that same first mystique, if you will, and for many reasons, but the magazine being one. Such as the staggered column high capacity magazine and the Browning linkless cam locking system, which on modern pistols is often simplified so that the barrel locks into the ejection port, meaning the barrel and slide do not have to be machined for locking lugs. In essence, yeah, what that means, and I don't have a Glock or something that to demonstrate this, but you will see today a lot of semi-auto pistol slides. You basically have this sort of openness of the top where the chamber is, and it locks into the slide, so you don't have these fine locking lugs into the slide like the high power design does. The newer designs, they found a much cheaper way to produce the relationship of the barrel to the slide. By doing that and eliminating that design or that component as a part of what it takes to make a high power pistol. This is one of the truly expensive components or points of the manufacture of the high power pistol, and this has been one of the Achilles heels, if you will, of the high power. And I just want to show what I'm talking about here. And from a manufacturing standpoint, these barrel lugs here, they mate with slide recesses that are up here in the slide. And that relationship needs to be very, 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 very fine, in that you don't want very much movement of that barrel in the slide. It can, it's believed to be able to affect accuracy. So the machining necessary and the tolerances that are permitted in that relationship is just one example of things in the high power pistol that do make it a rather expensive handgun to produce. However, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is, to me, it's questionable to get that relationship duplicated when you have a hood or a chamber of a barrel that's locking up into an open top slide, as compared to a barrel that's locking into a slide, with the high powers design. And I think that is one of the things that gives the high power such a distinctive advantage, accuracy-wise, still today, that a lot of pistols have a very, very difficult time equaling. All right, we're going to finish this session right here, and we'll be back next time and continuing on this Wikipedia article.